Hi, it's Nina with Parish Learning Zone. Thank you so much for joining me for our weekly Wednesday webinar. If it's your first time here with us, I want to especially thank you for joining us this week. And we're going to talk about how to do a virtual college search. So I've been hearing, and I know that a lot of students and parents and families feel like their college search has been derailed by closings and having to stay at home due to the coronavirus outbreak. And so they're looking for some ways, and there's a necessity to have some ways to continue with the college search and the college application process, despite the fact that right now many colleges are closed and it's not possible to go on the tours that you may have had planned over spring break or over summer break, and it's not even possible to search for and complete the college application process in the same way that students normally would, due to lots of cancellations with the SAT test and everything just being a little bit different this year. So thank you for joining us again. If you're just joining us now, what we're talking about today is how to complete a virtual college search and what can be done from home as far as searching for colleges and beginning the college application process. So the first suggestion that I have for today, and just in general, and normally you're going to try to look for a college that matches your preferences, and there are some great free college search tools. And the first one that I'm going to show you today is called Big Future from the College Board. And what this tool allows you to do is it allows the student to input their preferences by answering very specific questions about what they're looking for in a school, and then it narrows the list depending on the things that you say are your preferences. So here is the site from the College Board, the Big Future site, and I'm just going to take you through it just a little bit so that you can see how it works. As you can see here, we're in the college search page. There's many tools on this Big Future site, including places where students can look for information about possible majors and careers that they might be interested in, and also find out more about scholarships. But what we're focusing on today is starting the college search virtually from home, and a great tool to do that is this college search tool from Big Future. And if you're a student, or if you are a student and you have a College Board account, you want to get logged into that College Board account while you're using this Big Future site. And if you're logged in, you can save your college search. So if you find schools that are a good match, you can save them to your list so that you can look at all the information that's provided there later. So I'll just let you see how this works. When you go in, and you can put in your SAT scores, and you can put in information about selectivity or ACT scores here. And there's a bunch of different categories, but as you make selections within a category, you will start to see different colleges and universities pop up that match those selections. And as you continue to make selections about test scores, type of school location, campus housing, majors and learning environment, sports activities, and things like paying for school and how much it's going to cost to go there, it will continue to narrow down the schools that match the criteria that you've put in. So as you can see, based on the criteria that I have here, there's a whole list of schools that I can add to my college list if I was logged into my College Board account. And also, I can click into a school, and once I click into the school, it's going to tell me much more detailed information about that school. And we could click into any of these subheadings here, and find out even more. And a cool thing that it does is it also recommends over to the side similar universities, places that if you viewed this university, you might also like these other universities, which I think is really helpful. So there's a lot of information to look at once you get your college list by answering the questions on the left. And once you answer all of the questions, you can also go back and you can put in how important that particular set of criteria is to you. So you'll see underneath SAT and ACT test scores, I can say that I don't really care about that, I want it, or it's a must-have. And that ranking also affects the schools that I see in the list. So first recommendation is to go onto a college search tool, and right now you can come up with a list of colleges that suit your preferences, and then you can start to go through that list and possibly narrow down that list by looking at more detailed information about those schools. The second major consideration that you might have that goes along with whether a school matches your preferences is whether you can afford to go to that school. And so a resource that I think is really helpful, Money Magazine Money.com has put together a chart, a resource called The Best Colleges in America Ranked by Value. And so this takes into account two major considerations. And those are how much the school costs compared to, so the affordability of the school. So they're taking into consideration how much the school costs compared to the quality of the school and ranking the schools that way. And so you can go through the schools on this list and find out information about their test scores and the estimated price without aid, average grant that the students got in 2019, 2020, average student debt, and early career earnings from that school. So that's some really helpful information, especially if you're trying to make decisions once you've narrowed down your list of schools. Another consideration, another thing that you can do when you're at home, if you're starting your college search or continuing it, is that you can take a virtual college tour. So once you have made a list of some schools that you're interested in, normally what we would do is we would go visit those schools. We would schedule a tour. That's not necessarily something that's possible right now because there's a lot of schools that are closed, but there are some sites that offer college tours for most universities, and I'm going to link those in a summary, a written summary that I'll have here with this webinar. So some of those are university.com, which has a variety of videos of different colleges and universities, or there's another site that's called YouVisit that allows you to visit lots of different colleges at once. And another idea is if you have a specific school that you're interested in visiting, a lot of times if you go to their admissions page, you can find a virtual tour on that page for that specific school. Most of them have those there on their admissions page. A third idea of something to do at home to get ready to begin the college application process is to make sure that you're staying connected. And I think this is something that a lot of students don't think about. But when you're filling out your college application, you're going to have recommendation letters. And those recommendation letters are going to come from teachers that have taught you during your junior or senior year. So for most of you that would be watching this video, that would mean your teachers from this year, your teachers from next year. And I know that we're dealing with a particularly unusual and difficult situation at school where a lot of our classes have gone online, but it's good to keep in mind that it's very important that to stay engaged. Even though your classes have moved online, make sure that you're showing your teachers that you still care about that class. Because these are the people who are going to be writing your recommendation letters, and you usually need several recommendation letters from a junior or senior year teacher. And so what that would mean is continue to ask questions, go to see those teachers during their office hours. Obviously, you're going to be doing the work that they assign and making it a priority and turning it in. If they're doing online instruction, like an online class, make sure that you're present and that you show up for each class and you're engaged in asking questions, just like you would make an effort to do during the regular school year. And another person that it's important to stay connected with, or to get connected with if you're not already, is your school counselor. That person can be immensely helpful in the college application process. A lot of times at schools, they coordinate different parts or aspects of the college application process for students, and they can have a lot of information. So it's a good idea, if you don't already know your counselor, to email them or be persistent in getting in touch with them. Sometimes it's a little difficult at a larger school where they may have a lot of students on their caseload, but make sure that they know who you are and make sure that they're available to you to answer questions that you might have or to help you with your application process. A third person to consider connecting with is if you have schools that you're interested in and you've narrowed it down to a few schools, and you may have come up with some questions that you can't answer by looking at the information on College Board or by looking at their website. Schools have admissions officers, people who normally would be traveling around to different high schools and college fairs and informing students about their school. However, a lot of these people are not able to do any of that work, and they're very willing to talk to you and answer your questions. The one thing I would caution you about is to make sure before you contact the admissions officers to have some well thought out questions prepared, things that aren't available right on the website, for example. And you can also introduce yourself and tell why you're interested in applying to and attending that school. And then any well thought out questions you have, of course, you could ask those by email or whatever method they have for keeping in touch with the admissions officers at that particular school. Another thing that is pretty easy, a fourth thing that you can do right now, is to either get ready for the SAT or the ACT, or to stay ready for the SAT or the ACT, depending on whether you're junior or senior. That might look a little different for you. If you are going to be a junior, you may be in the situation where you're getting ready for the SAT and the ACT. Some schools, for seniors who will be applying this year, have said that the tests are no longer a requirement, but many schools haven't made an announcement. So it's wise for seniors who are applying to schools who are still requiring those tests, who haven't said that they aren't, to stay ready if they prepared for those tests. And we have some suggestions about how to stay prepared for the SAT and the ACT, and I'll be linking those here. We wrote a separate blog on that, and we actually did a separate whole Wednesday webinar on how to stay ready for the SAT at home. There's lots of good practice resources out there that are free and that you can use from your home, just using your phone and your computer to stay ready or to get ready for the SAT. The last thing that you can do, number 5, to get ready to apply to college while you're sort of stuck at home, is that you can think about your college essay. And a lot of students, especially if you're juniors, are thinking, isn't it a little bit early to think about my college essay? And the answer is no, it's not, because I'm not saying that you should come up with the final draft of your college essay, although if you're a senior, you really should be working starting now on your college essay for sure, because those deadlines tend to sneak up on you and you don't want to be writing the essay at the very last minute. The other reason that I suggest thinking about your college essay is that the one thing that has remained consistent this year is that the prompts for the Common Application once again have not changed. but I don't recommend jumping right in and staring at the prompts, because a lot of times we'll get stuck when we look at the prompts. What I would suggest that you do is you think about a story that you could tell that would let the people in the admissions office know who you are. So the first step is to brainstorm what that story could be. And I'm going to link here in the summary that goes with this video some inspirational essays. They're college essays that were published and written by teenagers who were applying to college. They were published in the New York Times last year. And you can read these because they're all excellent examples of stories. So what you're trying to come up with is a story that when the admissions officers read it, they then know who you are. And of course, we don't want this story to be overly personal, but we do want it to give them a good picture of who you are as a person and what is important to you. So read those examples, start brainstorming what your story would look like, and then look at the college application essay prompts from the Common Application. Most schools accept the Common Application. It would be worth checking before you wrote a Common Application essay to make sure that the schools that you're interested in are among those schools. So those are 5 things that you can do to start preparing for applying for colleges now, even if you're sort of stuck at home due to closures and the coronavirus. I hope that you found that these were helpful to you, and just like always, I would love to hear any comments or questions that you have here in response to this Wednesday webinar, and I will be answering any of those that you leave here or on our blog. And if you start your college search and you're looking for some extra help or some extra resources, feel free to contact us at Parish Learning Zone. We do offer college coaching, and in the fall, once the school year starts, we'll be offering a group for college students who are looking for some support applying to college. So check out those resources on our page, as well as a summary of all the information in this webinar today. And I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Wednesday webinar.